the Beer and Eggs podcast. My name is Jessica, and I'm here with my husband, Ryan. How are you feeling today, Ryan?
Pretty good. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
Well, when this comes out, it will no longer be Halloween.
But it's Halloween right now.
But we hope you guys had a great Halloween.
Yes, with lots of candy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely in a sugar rush right now.
Yeah, we've both had a lot of candy corn.
Mm-hmm. And naps.
Well, you took a nap.
It's my second nap today.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to going to sleep tonight for sure. It's Halloween, and we just got done hosting a party with our gospel group and some of your coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a long day, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Me too.
Powered through.
I'm not really that tired either. I'm just maybe ready to settle down for the night,
Well, yeah, now you get to have a nice conversation with me.
Well, I love talking with you. Talking with you is my settling down. It's relaxing.
Yeah, See?
But today, we are going to talk about something, well, it's not really a topic, but we're going to do something really fun. And we are going to go through each other's YouTube history and find the weirdest videos and ask each other what they were, what we were thinking when we watched the video. Hopefully it's a lot of fun. I think it's going to be fun.
It'll be interesting, that's for sure.
Uh-huh.
Oh my
All right.
gosh. So,
yeah, you go first.
First impressions of I'm judging you, by the way, all throughout this. But
That's
you
fine.
have about 25 Joel Haver videos.
Yeah.
Do you remember who that is?
Yeah.
I remember you had me watch. I wonder if I can even find it.
I'm pretty sure it's Haver.
Is it Haver?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, yes.
Well, he does a lot of, I watch him as well, but he does a lot of, shorts and skits and animations. But you made me watch one last night that I'm trying to find.
Oh, the movie that he made? I think he's made several movies. Yeah, so it's this YouTuber. His name is Joel Haver. And I actually found him because I was recommended one of his short comedy videos. And, oh gosh, I can't remember what it was called. But it was a spoof of, the old films when they have these super dramatic but, really short, relationships. You probably have scrolled past it at this point, but...
Yeah. I take it back. You've watched 50.
I've watched a lot of them.
Of his videos now.
I went on a Joel Haver binge the other day.
It's been the past couple days.
I just keep
scrolling. And
well, you know how YouTube works. When you start watching someone, and if you watch 4 or 5, they're going to recommend more. And he has a lot of content.
He has a lot.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
A lot. So, of course, if something looks interesting, I'm yeah, I'm going to click on that. It looks funny.
Oh, no.
But you should pick one specifically and ask me about that specific...
Okay.
Any video. It doesn't have to be a Joel Haver one, but just anything where you find it interesting.
What did you think of the History Channel spin-off series no one asked for? That's the one where they're on the ice and then they come back for the summer series where there's no ice.
Oh,
there's
yes.
Just liquid
okay,
ice.
So hopefully to make this easier to listen to, we'll have to say the name of the video and the creator.
Yeah, that's what I just said. The History Channel spin-off series no one asked for. Joel Haver.
Yeah, so that, I loved that. That was really well done.
Is that all you have to say about that one?
Yeah, it was funny.
Okay.
Okay, here's the thing. His videos are so well shot, and I think that's what keeps drawing me back to his channel. Is the comedy, yes, it's great, but also just what is it called? Videography. Mm-hmm. His videos are just really well done.
Was it cinematography? Is that what it
the
is?
cinematography is fantastic. He's a great YouTuber. Yeah. All right, I think it's my turn.
Okay.
You first thing I noticed, you watch a lot of stuff about video games.
Yes.
Okay. Here's one. It's titled How Hong Kong Became a Giant Refrigerator by Kento Bento.
Dude, super interesting. That. Okay, super interesting. So, first off, the video is sponsored by Bill Gates. So whatever you think about Bill Gates, take with that what you will. But it goes into the history of the first air conditioner unit that was installed in Hong Kong and how their culture responded to it. So the building that had the first air conditioner installed was like this big banking building, and it was the highest building in Hong Kong at the time.
Okay.
And so they cranked down the temperature like crazy in that thing because everyone associated cooler temperatures with status.
Oh.
So now everywhere you go in Hong Kong, they literally crank down, like the ritzier place you're at, the lower the AC is.
Oh, interesting.
Essentially, because everyone has associated air conditioning
with something fancy and nice.
Yeah, super. So there's more
high class.
I think there's more like air conditioning units in Hong Kong than like a large percentage of the world or something crazy.
Hong Kong, geographically, where is that?
In China.
In China?
We're going to sound dumb. Hold on, let me Google it.
We're American. Don't...
Dumb American.
We don't know geography. Isn't that a thing? Americans are famous for being really bad at geography.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, see, it's right there.
So it's in China. Or it's next to China.
It was recent. It was an old empire, or not empire, an old colony during the imperialism days by Great Britain.
Okay.
They just recently got reabsorbed into China, from what I understand. I don't know what all politically went on with that. There was a lot of riots there recently because people were, not wanting to obviously be a part of communism when they had so many freedoms before, and they felt like they were going to be attacked. I don't know if there's some agreement expired or something. But anyways, yeah, it's right here.
Okay.
It's just off of China as a whole.
It's not hot in Hong Kong.
It is. It is? It's very humid and hot.
Oh.
Because your equator is like right here.
Mm-hmm. So they're like actually right on the equator.
Saudi Arabia, yeah.
Wow, I never would have pictured it to be a hot place, but maybe that's just because I don't really know much about it.
Yeah, so it's very humid and warm and hot, and so most people they worked in office buildings that had a lot of ventilation, and there were a lot of, I guess, like architectural tricks that you could have to where you could actually lower the temperature inside of a building. But once they started building steel buildings with just glass, it becomes like a giant, just magnifier of heat. They have all the AC units.
That sounds,
They have all the AC units now to just cover for that. The issue is, in the video, it's an argument for, like global warming, or it's like anti-global warming or whatever.
It's always about global warming.
So they're like, oh well, this is contributing to global warming. Which, whatever. But the main point of the video was AC units produce heat. So a byproduct of you running your AC is you exhaust heat, and the machine itself creates heat and exhausts it into the air. There are many AC units in Hong Kong that they've actually raised the city temperature so that it's even hotter outside, necessitating the need for more AC units. Oh no,
they've fallen into an endless,
they call it a feedback
vicious cycle, Yeah,
so they call it a feedback loop. And, you need more ACs because it's hotter, because the more AC units you have are pumping out more heat. And so it kind of talks about how that's just an endless cycle. And the really only way to combat it is to make more efficient ACs. But the market there is, you can get ACs pretty cheap, and they're the, just like window units. So they're cheap, but they're very inefficient. So I was just kind of talking about that. I can't quite remember. There's a couple other things that were interesting that I can't remember right now. But yeah, the main point was just that feedback loop of more and more heat, and then more and more AC units, and they're running like 24/7. Oh, and COVID was interesting too, because the government said they need more airflow, and so people thought that they just need to run the AC 24/7.
Oh my gosh.
For more airflow in their houses and stuff. So it's super interesting.
Interesting.
I have never lived in like a big city, so I never thought that would have been an issue. But I guess when you have millions and millions and millions of people kind of in one densely populated area.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Well, and there's like pictures of like the high-rise buildings, and like every single window has a like apartment complexes.
Is that where they call it the Monster Building? Is that where that is?
Oh, I don't know.
In Hong Kong.
What's the Monster Building?
It's that famous building. It was in one of the Transformer movies.
I don't know.
I think it's nicknamed the Monster. Oh yeah, it is in Hong Kong. Look at that. Yep. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I think they probably used this image.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty crazy, but it's just these really tiny apartments. And it actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah, see each one has an AC unit.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one. So I bet you it's super warm, like in this area. It's just
probably
venting out into the atmosphere.
I can only imagine, especially on like a hot summer day. That's probably miserable.
Yeah,
but super cool looking.
Yeah, you just got to get inside.
It has its own aesthetic.
Your lovely AC. That's why.
Well, there you go. That's something that I literally never would have learned, Ryan, if we hadn't done this.
Yeah.
All right, your turn.
Okay. So
pick something I can actually like really get into.
Okay.
Hopefully something I'm passionate about. We'll see.
All right. I know you're passionate about ASMR.
Oh, not really. I do watch.
Tell me. Okay.
I want
to
clarify. I don't watch the creepy ASMR. Okay. I watch like the soothing sounds.
Okay, it's all creepy. Let's be real.
No, I can't do the people whispering. That's creepy. I specifically watch ones where they're just making soothing sounds, not like whispering or like smacking or something.
All right.
I'm not weird, I swear.
I swear. All right. From Tech Vision, this is one you can talk about. 5 futuristic mind-controlled prosthetics. Tell me a little bit about.
Oh yes. I'm so happy that you picked one of those videos.
Yeah.
So I've been really into watching videos about prosthetics lately.
Mm-hmm.
And did you know that the technology for prosthetic limbs has like gotten crazy amazing in like the past few years?
No, I have not looked into prosthetic limbs.
They're very, very close to being able to actually give like individual finger movements.
Like just with your thought?
No, it's all muscle. So they have sensors on your muscle in your arm.
And then you just have to retrain what muscle you're using.
And so you have to figure it out. They have like the basic open close, I think, for a lot of like the fancier ones. But it's just really exciting to see. There was this one video that I saw of this lady. I think her first name is Angel. I followed her on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But she has like a super fancy one. And it's really cool looking because what I've noticed is they've kind of abandoned trying to make prosthetic limbs look like actual arms and legs.
Mm-hmm.
Because it did kind of get into the what is it called? Like the uncanny valley. Like it would just, you could tell it wasn't real, but then it was trying to look real.
Yeah.
You know, so it just gave off a strange vibe because you're never going to make a real arm.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're favoring more like robotic designs.
Yeah, like aesthetically
and they look
pleasing
really cool.
Robotics.
Yeah, so I think that's just super amazing. That now, you know, someone either was born with a disadvantage like that, or I forget what the term is, but they basically became an amputee through an accident or something. And that is really rough. But the way that the science is going, now it's kind of like a motivator to continue. You know what I mean? Like, you get this cool arm, like this piece of equipment. And some of them light up. Like, it sounds silly, but it's so like, and people were talking about the way that it impacted them after they became amputees, getting like a cool robotic arm or leg. And it was really, really touching. And I was like, wow, people are actually like deeply affected by this and really helped out when they can have something that can sort of function like an arm. And it looks cool. It's like empowering, you know?
Yeah, I imagine not only getting functionality back, but having something that's like, that you also like to look at too, that's like pleasing to you, is probably a huge bonus. Whereas it's not just like this flesh colored like thing.
Yeah.
That maybe you don't like the way it looks. But obviously, I imagine they're still pushing functionality above all.
Yes, and from what I've learned in the videos I've watched so far, is the really cool fancy looking ones are very expensive. But I don't think it's going to be very long before they find a way to make them more accessible to everybody.
Do they talk about that at all? Like, is it a supply thing? Is it an insurance thing? Or
I honestly don't know. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's really cool. I watched this one lady when she could switch out her hands for like a different hand. And when she did it, she literally looked like a video game character, like reloading. Like, it was just really cool. And I thought that was really special for someone who was at a disadvantage. And I think with the way the technology is going, it's going to get pretty darn close to an actual limb, hopefully soon.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we've come a long way. A long, long way. Okay. Oh, is it my turn? All right. Let's see. I see a lot of tutorials on day trading.
Yes.
Oh, okay. This one's interesting. Maybe. It's called The Empire Was Right in Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, you watched that with me.
By Jim Huss, ENT. I think I caught a little bit of it, but I didn't watch the whole thing. Explain this.
It's just a spoof film, or like an overview. But basically, his argument is that the Empire is actually right. So...
Okay, so how did he justify that statement?
It starts out strong, but the joke is that it gets worse and worse as it goes on. Like, his argument's worse and worse and worse.
Okay.
As it goes on. So, like, to begin with, he's like, yeah, look at these politics. The Senate's controlled by the bureaucrats. That's not very, that's not much like democracy. We need a strong leader to get us back on track. Palpatine's, the perfect person to do that. And then he's like, look at the... And then I remember at one point, you're looking at the Star Destroyers, and he's like, look at these ships. These ships aren't made for war. You can't even see any turrets on them. They don't turn fast. They don't have that much firepower. Even the smallest rebel ship can give them a hard time and all this stuff. And then he's like, look at these rebel ships. Look at all their blasters and laser beams.
Oh my gosh.
Stuff. And it devolves into, which is obviously the joke, but it devolves into like...
So it's like comedy. It's like a satire type.
Yeah, he does a lot of them.
Yeah.
So he has like a lot of different movies where he just takes the opposite side and makes makes like his good points first. And then just devolves into...
I want to know what kind of emotional roller coaster that is for someone who initially agrees with him and then realizes it's all a joke.
It keeps me up at night. Yeah.
I can just imagine someone being like, finally, this guy gets it. He understands. And then like his confidence just slowly like dissolves.
Oh, man. All right. You ready for your next one?
Yes.
I got Sophia the robot, where is she now? Spec Tech.
Have you seen Sophia the robot?
Yeah, she's scary.
Yeah. But she's fascinating at the same time.
What do you find fascinating?
Oh my gosh. You just touched on a topic that just fascinates me to no end. What? Transhumanism.
What is
I
that?
could just...
Can you give me a definition?
I'm so interested in that subject. It's the idea that we could become more than human. So, like...
What fascinates you about that?
It's the psychology of it. But anyway, Sophia is this idea that, you know, it's AI. So artificial intelligence, which is not really exactly transhumanism, but it's kind of related. But it's just interesting to me. I like reading the comments on those videos. What people say in reaction to these people who are trying to create this create
humanity.
Yeah. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. You're never going to make it human life. Like, God's the author of life, right?
Yeah.
But it's so fascinating to see people try. You know what I mean?
Well, I think some people would say that this is, well, it's not yet, but it's like the first stepping stone towards making a machine that's able to think.
Yes. People definitely have that position online where they're like, oh, the thing is their thought is, if we can somehow create something that is, you know, intelligent, independent, kind of like we are, then what can we do for ourselves in the future? Because all of the discussions always end up in, oh, is this like the future of how we're going to evolve ourselves? You know? Like, what can we upload our consciences to the web?
Because evolution's inadequate, which I think is hilarious too. Like,
well, they always say, oh, that's the next step in evolution, is we eventually get to hold the reins, right? All of a sudden, we get to take control over it.
They're tired of being
the
like,
initiative.
oh, it's just in nature's hands.
Yeah.
And it's
we get to take it into our own hands.
It's been in God's hands from the beginning, but now they're tired of pretending like it's in no one's hands.
Yeah. So it's just the whole subject of transhumanism, artificial intelligence. It's so interesting. And I feel so not smart enough to talk about it, but I love learning about it. And I think so far, Sophia is the most advanced artificial intelligence ever created. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure that's their claim. I'm not sure what
Did you know she is I think it's Saudi Arabia. She was granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia.
Wow. What a publicity stunt.
I know. I'm pretty sure it was Saudi Arabia. I hope I'm not wrong. I'm not going to take the time to look it up, but yeah, she like tours. She does like interviews, and it's really interesting. Like, she's a computer, so she's not real. But like, just seeing her creator talk about her, and then seeing people interview her as if she was a real person, it's just so interesting.
Yeah. I'm glad you find it interesting. I do not.
You don't find that interesting at all?
No. It's literally a device that can quickly look up, like, many pre-programmed words to then put them together into a sentence.
Okay, well, I think, don't mishear me. I'm not saying, oh, the technology is just so advanced, I'm just so impressed. Like, it's better than anything I could do. But I like seeing people's reaction to it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just saying I'm not impressed with Sophia, what I've seen. And then they make her say, you know, all the normal things like, yeah, I'm going to destroy the world and all that stuff just to get people talking or whatever. And it's like, okay.
A lot of the times, like, her questions aren't even, like, on the spot either. Like, they have to submit them beforehand, so she has time to think about it, you know.
And then they select the one that makes sense, That's all.
The one that makes sense. Like, oh yeah, we'll go with this one.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but in that sense, I guess. But
there's some other really cool AIs that I was looking at too. I can't remember their names. But some of them definitely get creepy.
Yeah. I think it's odd.
It is odd. It seems like a really, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess meaningless. Like, it's a meaningless pursuit. You know what I'm saying? Just for the sake of being like, ooh, look what I did. Like, if you were doing it for the purpose of, I don't know, helping humanity in some way.
Is it meaningless, though? I feel like some of it could be used.
Yeah, but I feel like they're just doing it just to be like, oh, look, see what we did? This is so cool. Like, she's a toy at this point. You know? She's not... Like, supposedly she's, like, an advocate for, like, women's rights. And, like, she does all this stuff. And I'm like... I don't know. It just seems a little ridiculous. If she was given a task to do... You know, something that could tangibly help people, then I think that would be great.
Yeah.
It'd be really useful. But just to make her talk and sound like a human, it just seems a little silly. Yeah, to put all that time and effort.
Expressions and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
Your turn.
Super weird.
I need to look at these beforehand so I'm not just scrolling. But let's see. Oh, I was going to be like, why were you watching the alphabet song? But that was me on your account with the kids.
Yeah. I think about, too, the whole transhumanism thing. It's like, if we are made in the image of God to rule over his creation, why do we think that we can make something that's greater than ourselves?
Oh, yeah. It's super insulting, isn't it? To be like, oh, we could do that. Like, to look at ourselves, these beings created in the image of God, and to be like, oh, yeah, that's fine, but, like, we can improve it, or we can also do that. Like, no, you can't. You're never going to create a human.
Well, what is your definition of a human?
A human?
A human?
My definition of a human...
No one can create a human.
Well, yeah, only God can. That's what I'm saying. Only God can create life.
Yeah.
And I guess you could get into the whole cloning thing, but all I'm going to say is, have we cloned anyone yet? I don't think so.
No. And I feel like the perspective of some people on the other side of it, where they're like, this is the next big thing. Then you say, well, we make humans all the time. You know, we just have relations, and then babies pop out.
Yeah, but you're not the one making that human.
But that's the argument, right? Well, first you have to argue that it's a human at all while it's in the womb. So you have to make that argument.
There's a lot of presuppositions that go into all this,
right? And then you have to say, okay, so if it is life, then you're claiming that you are making it. And it's like, if you're making it, then why is there not a natural way to stop it? Like, you're not taking all the cells and, like, making them multiply, and all the different tissues grow in the particular way that they grow. And all those things,
you bring up a really good point. There's intentionality there.
Yeah.
And who's it intended by?
Yeah,
God. Because sometimes it happens even when you don't want it to. Yeah. And it's beyond your control.
But we have never been able to make anything from nothing. Right?
No,
I think we've had this conversation.
We always have to start with something. God's the only one who could make something out of nothing.
Yeah, we have never been able to make something new out of nothing. We always have to use things that we've been given to make something new. And that new thing is always less complex than the living thing would have been by itself, I feel like.
Yeah. Which isn't to say that humans are, like, dumb. Like, I think people are incredibly intelligent because they are made in the image of God.
But that's the thing, right? We take what we have and we craft it to our liking, or to our purpose.
I love seeing the things that people create. All kinds of people. Like the prosthetics. Like, that's incredible what they're doing.
But you're not creating anything new.
No.
In that sense.
Well, and what's interesting too is a lot of the things that we build and we design and create, we observe stuff in nature that God has made, and we recreate that, you know, for use. So, like airplanes, you know, or I'm pretty sure the man who invented anesthesiology. Right?
Anesthesia. Yeah.
Anesthesia.
Anesthesia.
Oh gosh, don't say that 10 times. But the guy who created that, he got the idea from the Bible when God put Adam into a deep sleep to remove his rib. And obviously he had to dig into the science of how that actually works. But
yeah, in a way he could not kill his patients.
Yeah. But it's cool. It's cool to see what people can come up with and build. But we can't make anything new, like you said. Well, I'm going to ask you about this video. I can see that you've been watching a little Toby Mac, right?
I don't know if I have.
You haven't? Well, then who has?
Probably you.
On your account. I haven't.
It's on yours as well, is all I'm saying.
Oh my gosh, Ryan.
What?
Okay, I see this is only watched, like, the first, like, probably 30 seconds.
A playlist. Just saying.
So, apparently, someone on your account accidentally clicked on "You Say" by Lauren Daigle.
Oh yeah, no, I did click on it.
Did you really? Why?
I hadn't actually heard it, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, this is that song that we just dodged, who we're talking about the whole time, and we say a bunch of things that God doesn't say."
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry to anyone out there if you like Lauren Daigle. I'm not personally a fan. And also, I do find her most popular song, "You Say," to be pretty annoying. But that's not to say you can't like it. It's just,
Well, this isn't a politically correct podcast. It
infuriates me.
So, if you're there's nothing wrong with listening to it. To say that it is a full and good witness of what she claims to believe would be a huge misrepresentation of what that song is actually about. And in her trials as a Christian woman dealing with fame, she has not faithfully displayed what the gospel is in many of her interviews. And is that a reason to hate her? No.
I didn't say I hate her. I said she infuriates me.
But you can have a rightful displeasure in what she's doing, what she's writing, and what she's saying on TV. That was a while ago. I have not seen her new stuff. I don't know if things have come around.
I scrolled back pretty far, so this was probably a while ago.
But do I, say, you shouldn't listen to her music? No. But the message of her music, just like if I was listening to Eminem, right? I wouldn't be like, oh, the message is so great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. You can definitely listen to it, but don't really think about the lyrics there, and
I think
evaluate it in that sense.
It's a good song, like musically.
No, I also disagree with that.
No, but
I can't understand a word she's saying. She's just mumbling.
I think she sounds great, but my problem with this song is it's not a Christian song. And I don't think... you could
Christian.
try, but I don't think anyone could convince me that it's a Christian song.
It's like Stephen Furtick saying that you're not a new creature on Twitter.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, is he talking about something he thinks he knows a lot about? Yeah. Is he right? No.
I love the leap from deep topic to deep topic that we're
I don't have
at.
any more for you, so you can find another one of mine.
Okay, I will try to find one more, and then we'll close it out. Hopefully it's a really interesting one. I'll try to find one that I can see you've watched all the way through. So let's see.
This is going to be just a podcast hitting on Lauren.
I really don't want to hate on people, but yeah, I'm not a fan. It is what it is. Not a fan. Okay, let's see. All right, this one looks pretty interesting. Are you ready?
Okay.
It's titled Parallel Worlds Probably Exist. Here's Why. And it's by, how do you say this? Veritasium?
Yeah, Veritasium. So, the whole video is about, this is really boring, how parallel universes probably exist. And then literally they get into the science and they're like, it's insanity. Like, they look at like cosmic forks, or not cosmic, what do they call them? I don't know what the proper term is, but they're like Schrodinger's cat, right? Mm-hmm. The cat in the box, until you check it, is both dead and alive.
Oh,
and when
I cannot stand that.
And when you check it, right when you interact with it, right, it splits. And in one universe, the cat's actually dead, and in one universe, the cat's actually alive. And they're like, those two universes go on forever.
Yes. Can I say something?
Yeah.
It's probably because my brain just doesn't work that way. I've never been good at science or theoretical science, but that never made sense to me. Well, I'm like, inside the box, objectively, it is either dead or alive. It cannot be both.
Wait till you hear what the science is behind. So they've made this hypothesis based on what they've measured, right? But the hypothesis doesn't match what they've measured, because when you measure the wave function or whatever, it changes the outcome. So they're postulating that this is what's going to happen, mm-hmm. because their mathematic equation tells them that that's what should happen. But it's never been proven by actively measuring, because that changes the outcome of the circumstances. So the wave should look like here's a bunch of graphics and stuff. So the wave should look like double what it is, but when they measure it, it's down here. And they're like, oh, that just means there's been a new universe created and half of the energy is lost. And it's because some guy came up with an equation that everyone just accepted. And they're like, yep, we're going to build math off of this, mm-hmm. and hypotheses off of this. Hypotheses. And it's like, so how you're getting to this point is you have something you can't prove, and you're just extrapolating. Mm-hmm. And the extrapolation doesn't make sense. Half of the community, it talks about it in the video too, doesn't even agree. They're like, that's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. If it's in the real world, we should be able to measure it. So they're looking at trying to figure out a better way to make these measurements. Mm-hmm. And it all has to do with electrons, measuring the electron in its like state. Like, I don't even know. It's way above my head. But Veritasium, I forget what his actual name, Muller, I think is his last name. He's just doing it for the wow factor.
Oh, I mean, and sure, to be entertaining. It's interesting. You said it wasn't interesting, but I find this interesting.
That's the interesting part, right? That there are people, scientists, that actually believe like the universe is like forking, like a Back to the Future movie, where the time stream has forked, uh-huh. and then that forks again, but the old one doesn't cease to exist.
It continues on in a
parallel.
Different, yeah.
Yeah, so
the multiverse, right?
It's just a multiverse, yeah. And so you've got more and more people being taught this. It's interesting to look at it too, in the sense of who agrees with it and who doesn't. A lot of the people that are coming up through physics, the theoretical physics right now, are being taught this
as fact, right? Which is interesting.
A theory, a strong theory, whatever you want to call it, right? but essentially fact. Like, your professor's going to make you write a bunch of papers and postulations on the hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to go into the world and into that job field affirming that it's true. So realistically, what are we doing here is we've got waning support for any other ideas about it,
mm-hmm.
and increasing support for just this hypothesis that no one can prove.
So are you saying the multiverse is kind of like maybe it will become the Emperor's new clothes type of thing in the science field?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's like that old folktale or whatever where the Emperor, he's sold these new clothes by this peddler, and they're like, there's nothing there. He just walks out naked, and everyone's like, oh yes, it's beautiful, because they don't want to state the truth that, oh, he's actually not wearing clothes.
Oh.
No one wants to speak up and say, hey.
I don't know if we've gotten there yet in that sense, but we're pushing further and further into that. It's the same thing that happened with, evolution and natural selection, right? It was the new big thing. It was the big thing to disprove God during the Enlightenment.
Well, I want to specify, when you say that, you're referring to macroevolution, correct?
I'm referring to the idea that the Earth has a common ancestor that over time evolved into all of the different organisms that you see now.
I believe that's macroevolution.
No. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care about these terms.
Well,
so,
if you rule out all of it, someone could come in and say, well, we've observed natural selection. And so I would agree with them. Yes, I have no problem with natural selection. But I completely disagree with macroevolution.
But Darwinian evolution is that theory, not necessarily completely invented or discovered by Charles Darwin, is the idea that from a common ancestor, all organisms on Earth came to be over billions of years.
Right. And we would refute that idea.
We would refute that idea. Which is not the whole point of what I was even talking about. Thank you for derailing me.
Sorry.
I was simply saying that everyone jumped on the bandwagon for that. And now who's looking into the possible postulations to refute that idea?
Oh, hardly anyone.
No one. Why? If it hasn't been proven, right? Because there's a huge push to find the missing link and all this stuff. No one ever found it. No one ever found proof of anything. And they're just like, well, it takes a long time. So we're not going to look anymore.
Yeah. I wonder if there's even interest in digging into it.
There's no interest in finding the truth.
Yeah.
Why would there be?
Well, I mean, it is pretty convenient if you just start with the assumption that that's how everything started, and then you could just get that out of the way. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate, but really fascinating.
Please don't say fascinating ever again.
Fascinating. It's like what was the other word that I would say all the time that just triggered you?
Oh my gosh.
Perhaps.
Perhaps, dude.
Perhaps is a word.
So?
I love to use that word. It's like maybe, but not like maybe is like lazy, like oh maybe. It's
like the most snarky thing. Like every
But
sentence,
perhaps is like optimistic.
I would
like oh perhaps.
I would say something like just a statement, not even like a question or anything, and she'd be like, "Well, perhaps," and I'm like, "Stop."
I remember once you're like, no one says that, Jessica. And I'm like, yes, they do. This is a word in our English language that people use, and I can use it.
Quite. Yeah, quite.
I have no problem with you saying that.
No. Cringy.
Oh my gosh. Well, we went from topic to topic in this episode, and it was a wild ride, and I enjoyed every second of it.
This is what happens when we stay up too late.
It's really not even that late.
It's not. It's like 11 o'clock.
It's like 11. It's our late because we're old people now.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate all of our listeners, and we really we have a lot of fun with this. And we hope that you enjoyed this week's episode. I don't know. Do you have any other closing thoughts, Ryan?
No.
I feel like this left you in just kind of a pessimistic mood.
Yeah, dude. Just world's going south, man.
Oh, well, it has been from the very beginning. But we have a hope for a grand future. Me and Ryan we're in school, and we're taking a class called the Books of Moses right now. And we're learning about like all the themes of Eden and the Promised Land, and it has made me really hopeful for the future. Maybe not the future of this world, but the one that's to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe I'm just a way more optimistic person than you.
I have my days.
I've always said Ryan is the most optimistic pessimist that I've ever met.
Yes.
And it's great. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.